Good morning, my six missionaries. Good morning, my friends. Good morning, my wired differently supporters. Good morning, everybody from Cancun. I got to tell you, man, yesterday was a complete whirlwind, and I just want you to know how much I appreciate everybody that jumped on the call yesterday. I wanted to let you know that it was a whirlwind. I got to meet Dr. Robert Rome. I got to meet an incomparable Barbara Allen, Maria Castros, my good friend Gary Arblaster. The list goes on and on and on. And it's interesting because there's probably, I'm going to tell you, there's 10 of us that flew from all over the country to meet in a destination. Not unlike the Tiki Hut retreat, right? But actually, this is like the Tiki Hut retreat I suppose, of steroids. This is in Cancun, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people here. And Dr. Robert Rome, if anybody is not familiar with Dr. Robert Rome, he is probably one of the most foremost personality insights instructors in the world. Matter of fact, he pioneered the company Personality Insights, and he pioneered the way he was teaching the 4 personality traits of DISC. So DISC is a accreditation that I have received over time, and I'm getting another certification down here by going through this. But he's just remarkable. He's been doing it, he's in the 70s now, and he has just been friends with Zig Ziglar and all these major motivational people in the world, and he's created DISC. And we've talked about DISC in the past, and one of these mornings I'm going to give you a crash course in DISC, but it basically talks about the 4 personality types, and we're here talking about those, but we're talking about how to better ourselves, how to better the people around us, how to do life better. And yesterday, I want to just kind of start off with telling you and following up with our topic, your flight has departed. Let me get up my banner here. Your flight is now departing. Your flight is now departing at, right? And so I wanted to make sure that everybody understood that you're not alone. I think one of the things that I hear back from all of my friends out there, you that are listening, good morning, everybody. I'm going to flip over to comments here in a second. But is that, man, Todd, I really appreciate how you keep it real. I really appreciate how you talk about like regular things in your life. Some people even appreciate it when I mess up on the audio or technology. I don't. Inside, I'm boiling, right? But we move through it. And I'm working on the music, so hang in me with there. I got it to time off, and we're going to be talking about it. So your flight is now departing. It's departing. And it's this whole idea, and I'll pull this together for you, but it's this whole idea of how this flight, and not unlike the last several flights I've been on. I know you see me on the Facebook and Instagram flying around and doing lots of things, but all of them end up kind of culminating through a flight to somewhere or a flight back. And I just couldn't get away from the fact that on this flight, for like the 10th flight in a row, I've been delayed. And this particular flight, I was with my wife, and the text came across my phone from Delta, and it said, your flight is now departing at. And I just remember starting to read it, and my mind was conditioned when it said, your flight is now departing. I knew that meant that there has been a major change in the airwaves, airlines. I knew that major meaning like there's disruption, whether it's weather or it's whatever reason, but it's not just weather anymore. And this really isn't about the state of the airlines in this country, right? It's about the state of your mind. It's about the state of the way we perceive things and we look at things. And I thought, man, I need to talk to my friends about this, because when I start to read, your flight is now departing at, my whole body changes, my whole mind's changed, because I've been conditioned to know that flight is not taking off as scheduled. And I have a schedule. My life is on a schedule. My business is on a schedule. My family is on a schedule. And I have to get there on time, or I have to get there reasonably on time. I have to, your flight is now departing at, I'm like, my schedule's disrupted. It's not going to work. And then I read at 7:55 versus 7 o'clock, 55-minute delay or 20-minute delay or 30-minute delay. But what's happening in this whole process is that your flight is now departing, meaning that your life has been disrupted. And I think it's the bigger side of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and the real side of the anger that happens, the things that go through, the type of stuff that happens when your life has been disrupted. And it's not that our lives are not disrupted on a lot of times, but it's just that our lives are been disrupted by an uncontrollable. The uncontrollable. I need to have control. I have these plans. I'm going there. People are counting on me. Don't you understand, Mr. Airline Pilot? Can't you just kind of go around some people? Can't you get up and around? I mean, what is the big damn deal? I mean, why is this always such a problem? Why can't you guys get it right? Why can't you get the de-icer? Why can't you get the pilot to get out of bed? Why can't you? Why can't you? Why can't you? Why can't you? Your flight is now departing at And I just want you to know that, man, it's so disruptive to me when things change that my inside starts to turn and boil. And I think that we all need to understand that this is just really a true thing. And I want you to know you're not alone in this disruptive mindset, this disruptive place for our flights, our lives. You know, it's a metaphor for our lives. It's not just a flight. And I want you to understand that even though I fly a lot, and this happens, I am living out my inner frustrations with not just that flight. I'm living it out of not having control of the moment. I am very frustrated. And it's no different than when you're in your car and you're on the road and you're driving, all of a sudden you're on your way to Atlanta, or you're on your way to Tampa, or you're on your way to Orland, Indiana, or wherever that is, or wherever you're going, and all of a sudden there's a wreck, right? And the road's closed. And you can't go through. And there's people behind you and you can't go backwards, and you're trapped. You're stuck, right? Your flight is now departing at. So really what's going on here is that I want you to know life is disruptive. And I wanted to kind of break down what happens after that situation happens. And yesterday here, I really want you to meet somebody. Her name is Barb Allen. And yesterday I had the privilege of listening to her speak and do a workshop for almost 3 hours. She was absolutely masterful. And then last night, we all got together and we ate dinner and had some fun. And she was just as fun as a person as she was on the stage. But what not to wear to a murder trial? And ironically enough, we started this topic about your flight is now departing at, this disruptive of your life, this disruption of your life, this entire moment that happens in your life that you have no control of. And ironically enough, that's basically what she talked about. And she talked about what not to wear at a murder trial. Now you say, well, what does that have to do with a flight, Todd? I think you went wacko. I think you went too far this time. Are you drinking the Mexican water? What is going on? Well, no, my friends, they give you water in a bottle here now. And I think they purify the water here now too. I don't know, but we're having a great time here in Mexico. We're having a great time with the people here and the amazing people that are here that flew all over to this, I guess, retreat. Man, I'm sure I could find a tiki hut here. But here's the thing. Your flight is now departing at is this metaphor of this, like you've lost control. You're sitting on a plane and all of a sudden they come over the loudspeakers. Your flight now is departing at 10:58, another 20 minutes. And then they come out and they say, your flight is now departing at 11 o'clock. And they say, now your flight is departing. It goes on and on and on. And it's this idea of just not having control of your life, not having control of the moment, not having control of you. You have lost time. You have lost your sense of control. You have no way of deciding how you're going to do certain things. And so we talked about that yesterday. And I want you to know that it's important that in life and in business and in your personal life, we have to be able to move through these moments. And even though some of them are small, like an airplane delay, some of them aren't small. You know, some of the flights that have been delayed literally get canceled. I've been on a flight that wasn't just delayed, it was canceled. And I got a point here, and I'm going to bring it down a little bit, but I'm going to then bring it back up. So when your flight's delayed or is departing at a later time, then the message comes across. If you'd like to stay on your current flight, you do not need to do anything at this time. That means you can just sit there on the plane. You can just sit there on the plane, or you can sit there in the sky club, or you can sit there in your car where you got the text message, or you can keep driving and just go on forward, assuming that the life is going to keep going in that same direction, assuming that the next flight is going to work the way it's going to work. That's your choice number one. And then your choice number two is, if you'd like to search for alternative flights, you may change your flight at no additional cost. So really, when your flight is delayed, when your flight is stopped, and you get this message that your flight, it will now be departing at, you have two choices to make. And I know this is kind of getting deeper, but I want you to understand that I am building this something for you, because I want you to understand your flight is your life. Your flight is your ability to control your life. Your flight is your ability to literally launch or recoil. Launch or recoil. And I want you to understand that when your flight is delayed, you have two choices, right? You can stay on the current flight, keep believing in that trail, keep believing in that focus, right? Because we established yesterday, you knew where you were going. We knew where you were going. Or today, you can actually get off that flight, recalibrate, and Delta at no additional cost. Now, in life, sometimes there is a significant cost to recalculating. But this is your time to reflect. In my first book, Wired Differently, we talked about you're at a red light. You're stopped. You have to decide what you're going to do. You can go right, you're going to go left, you're going to go straight. It's your time to reflect. So when your flight has departed at a different time, you have two choices: stay the course or change your course. Very simple. Well, this was just a flight, but not for Barbara Allen. You see, Barbara Allen was married probably 6 years, 7 years. And the flight that her husband took off on was to the service. And she had 4 boys, 4 children, almost a year apart, all of them. And her husband went to serve the country. He was over there not 2 weeks. And the flight that she was on was going great until she got the phone call from the military that her husband had died. So think about her flight. Think about her plans. Think about her life. Think about everything that was already baked in the cake for this flight, right? Think about the dependency of her on the co-pilot and the pilot. Think about her dependency on the people that were around all that. Think about all the things that were coming together for her flight, right? Only to find out that not only has her flight been delayed, but her flight with her husband and her marriage has been ended. Now, the reason I bring this up is because I think there's some basic principles here that I learned yesterday about our flights and our disruptive world, and the fact that that we all have to deal with things in our life that are painful, or we have to deal with things in our life that are, more importantly, just uncontrollable. And Barbara masterfully spoke for almost 3 hours straight, pouring out her life to us on what she called, grieving and understanding how your path is disrupted. Now, the irony of all this is my topic yesterday was due to my petty, my whining over my flight being delayed, right? But I wanted to bring this to you, right? I wanted to let you know that it's okay to really get up frustrated with those things, but I really want you to know that when our plane is delayed or our plane is changed, we have to change courses. We have to think about where we're going to go. And I just wanted to go that journey with you. And I want you to know, hey, I'm living it with you and we're working through it. But Barbara, on the other hand, took it to a whole new level, right? Turns out her husband was not killed in the action of war. Her husband was murdered in the military. And so she's been on a quest for almost 20 years, 18 years, trying to figure out how to repatch her life and to work through things because of her course. Her path has been abruptly changed without any control over her whatsoever. She had no decision in it. She had no decision that her husband was going to leave. She had no decision on her husband, that if he left and how he left, how she was going to handle it, how he was going to leave things. She had no idea how to raise the kids without him. She had no idea what to even do with his parents. And then on the top of all that, she had to go to a murder trial over the death of her husband, who not only found the murderer, but he pled guilty, and then the military left him off. She was in a long, drawn-out trial in the military court, only to be proven that he was guilty, but then let off. I mean, on top of her flight being delayed, then canceled, then she was rubbed in it almost the rest of her life, seemingly. And so what I learned from her yesterday, and I'm just going to take through this, is that, as I listened to her real deplaning, her real delay, and I listened to her story of survival. I mean, first and foremost, I thought, man, our problems aren't that small. But she elegantly shared with all of us that everybody's pain is pain, right? And we've talked about the struggle being real. And that we shouldn't minimize one person's pain because it's not at the scale of another person's pain, right? Like, so pain is pain. She pointed out that her sister almost has a perfect life, right? But when she has a migraine or things aren't going well with her children, they're very painful for her too. I mean, her plane was delayed. She has the same process of it. And so it just kind of dawned on me when we started talking about the 5 stages of grieving that, hey, why don't we just apply those to this disruptive motion in our life? I mean, I want you to understand that even though some pain, like the loss of your husband in a murder, is certainly life-changing, devastating, but even though that happens that way, we still have these things, these bursts in our life that we lose business deals, right? That we've vested our life into in many, many cases. We lose relationship. I have a really good friend, and he's an amazing man, and he was going to be married to a seemingly a lovely lady, and they got together and they were dating for over a year. He bought a house, got everything ready for the marriage, and she didn't show up for the wedding. Left him basically there with 2 kids and a house that he had bought for her, and left. I mean, that plane literally was delayed, man, right? Business deals. I've had business deals that I've poured hundreds and hundreds of thousands, close to millions of dollars in that just didn't launch and didn't work properly. I want you to know that this grieving process isn't just reserved for the brutal. This grieving process for your flight not launching, right, isn't just for the people that have serious pain. I think your flights that don't launch, your flights that are delayed, the flights that are canceled, metaphorically, that pain, that frustration, your canceled trips, the missed ball games with you and your children, that home run that you weren't there for, the marriage trip that you were supposed to take and keeps getting canceled, and life just takes the things. I want you to understand it's okay to be upset over those things. It's okay to understand that those uncontrollable things do weigh toll on your soul. And I think people just tell us to get over it. But I do think that we do need to move through it. And so I was just going to literally share something that she shared with us that I've studied before, but not on a deep level. And I just want you to understand that at the end of the day, when your flight has been changed or your flight has been canceled, that this too shall pass. My father would always tell me, this too shall pass. And that we're not to dwell too much in the moment, but we do have to realize that we're going to go through processes just like she's went through it. And hers has taken 20 years, and she may never get over the love of her life. She's going to get remarried. She's rebuilt her life for the third or fourth time in 20 years. Just remarkable woman. But I want to take that large scale flight not launching, that flight terminating, and bringing it down here kind of on earth with us in our business world and our families and our children and the change and this uncontrollable piece that we have in our life that we just can't do anything about. I mean, it's no different than what Heather David, my partner at Pacer System. I miss you, Heather. It's been, I don't know, seems like 3 weeks. She was on a plane, metaphorically, and she got the phone call that she had cancer. I mean, Heather, your flight is now departing at. Barbara, your flight is now departing at. Todd, all that money you spent on that big deal that was going to do this for everybody, your flight is now departing at. Todd, all that money you had put aside and you put in a special place. Well, someone found a way to get to it. Your flight is now departing at. That marriage that you thought was really going well, somebody out there is living it right now, I promise you. He's not who you thought he was. She's not who you thought she was. Your flight is now departing at. You thought you were pregnant. You've been trying for years, and you're not. Your flight is now departing at. I think about even Nick Walenda. He's an amazing guy, and he's put so many events together, invested so much time in these big walks and these bigger than life situations, and for some reason some of them, he probably tell you most of them don't happen. It's constantly looking deals. Nick, your flight is now departing at. I mean, I think all of us are getting what I'm trying to talk about. And we have to internalize this stuff because it happens to us. It takes an emotional toll on us, big or small. And so I just wanted to take you through the stages of grief, because I think Barbara really made it clear to me that no big nor small, some are obviously more tragic than others. But I want to just take you to understand that you are going to go through these 5 stages of grief. And then I'm just going to do it quickly because I think everybody's heard about it. But when your flight is now departing at, or your flight is now canceled at, you're going to deal with these 5 stages. 1, you're going to be in shock. You're going to be like, hey, this really happened? And I can't react. There's nothing I could do. My gosh, I have cancer. In 2012, I was diagnosed with cancer. Right. And I remember getting that report and the doctor telling me, Todd, you have prostate cancer. Now, in my situation, I pushed back and I did some more testing. And for a year, I fought back and I just was in disbelief. I was in shock and I pushed through it and I pushed through it. And in my case, it turned out that it was a false positive. After a year and 4 or 5 months living in this world of what are you going to do? I went through these stages, and now I obviously have. I've been living it with Heather. She's handled, believe it or not, her situation seemingly on the outside probably better than some of the close people around her, certainly me. But I think what you need when your flight is now departing the first thing that happens when your world has changed, your flight is terminated, something's changed with your child. My daughter Kara was on ESPN playing softball just last year, and this year she's at my house studying for her master's in accountancy, but she was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. Honestly, I'm thinking about it right now. I didn't realize I was going into a version of shock. Like, what do we do now? We're trying to get control of it. My wife is desperately on the internet, and we've been to 5, 6 doctors, and we're spending all this money, and we're trying to take control of an uncontrollable. Shock. Number 2, denial. It's not really diabetes. Todd, you don't really have cancer. Heather, I'm sure went through this. It can't really be true. Not true. I'm just going to pretend like it never happened. And number 3, we get angry. I'm so angry. Why does Kara have type 1 diabetes? How can that be? I'm not denying it anymore as much as I'm like, this pisses me off. It's just not fair. I don't understand. She's in perfect shape. She lifts weights. She loves others. She's got her whole life in front of her. Man, why couldn't I have it? You go through all this denial. It's just not right. It's not right. Then we go through this anger. It's like, pisses me off right now as I talk about it with you. Why does Heather have to have cancer? Why does Kara have to have type 1 diabetes? Why does Carol have to have cancer? This is just wrong. It doesn't make sense. These are perfectly great people. Then number 4, we start to bargain. It's like, man, God, if you could somehow transfer Kara's type 1 diabetes to me, let my plane not take flight. I'll do 1 million push-ups, right? I will slice my arm. I will walk on glass. I will do anything, right? Just let it not be my baby. Let it not be my dear friends, right? Don't let their flight depart. Let's make a deal. But last but not least, in this hierarchy of the acceptance of grief is acceptance. All right, we're calm. This has happened. Let's not move on, but let's move through it. I get it. The plane's not taking off. I get it. We're going to have to do one of 2 things. We're going to have to stay on the current course of where we thought we were going, or we're going to have to redirect and start all over. And I think that's where I want to end this message, and where I want to tell you that at the end of these 5 stages of grief, a little message from Delta Airlines basically telling me these things really boil it down into the only 2 choices you really have. And that's just the way it is. Your flight is now departing at. If you'd like to stay on the current flight, you don't need to do anything at this time. Or you could search for an alternate flight. You may change your flight at no additional cost. That's really what it boils down to. It's up to you to move through these positions of grief. It's up to you to move through life when life has been disrupted in this way. It's up to you to maybe write a book about it to help you deal with it. Talk to other people about those things. It's only up to you. I hope this helped a little bit. This went a lot longer than I planned on it. And I just want to tell you guys how much I appreciate everything you're doing. And I want to just realize that this is what happens. And then ultimately, give yourself permission to unfortunately go back and learn from this flight, not departing. Go back and learn from this situation. You don't have to carry this grief around with you. Over time, it will cease. But at the end of the day, there are nuggets of learning, there's nuggets of sharing, there's all kinds of things that we can grow from this. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer. I think you can stay on the flight and have great success. And I do think that on many occasions we can rebook, start over, and go to another retreat. So listen, I'm going to wrap up this morning. This was great. This was good for me. It was good for you. You guys have a great day. And let's do this thing called Life Together, Wired Differently. Let's remember Tiki Hut Retreat, man. I picked up two people are coming to the Tiki Hut Retreat from this event, from Cancun to our Tiki Hut Retreat. Can you believe it? My delayed planes led me here, which is bringing me home new friends, a new direction, a new course. My frustration has brought me new targets, new goals, new achievements, newfound success, right? There is a silver lining to most everything out there. All right, you have a great day, and I'll see you at the Tiki Hut Retreat. God bless you guys. ToddStaler.com.